I hear the word Spartan, I can't help but think of the famous Battle of Thermopylae, nearly 2,500 years ago. And probably all of you know the story of the battle in which 300 Spartans fought to the last man to hold off a Persian army of an estimated 250,000 men for 3 days of fighting. And I understand that in your football games, you even use a scene from the movie 300 as a rallying cry. But Thermopylae was a narrow pass between the mountains and the sea, and the Spartans chose the strategic spot to defend against the Persian invasion. And the battle is credited with saving Greek civilization, thus enabling the radical ideas of freedom and democracy to find room to flourish. The Spartans ultimately lost the battle, but they gave other Greeks time to prepare defenses and inspired them to eventually turn back the invasion. Those Spartans embodied human traits that are timeless: courage, teamwork, and selflessness. And I'd like to speak to you about these three values and why I hope that they will always stay with you and inspire you. The Spartans demonstrated immense courage in taking on overwhelming odds. In the years to come, you will need the same fortitude to lead positive change. Your educational experiences have provided you with more than just the credentials to enter the world of work. They've enabled you the opportunity to acquire the tools, both cultural and human, to face all the complexities of life. You've been equipped with the means to lead change in what is becoming an incredibly complex world. And the truth is that we actually need you to do so. Change is inevitable, but your actions will help determine the shape and the course of that change. In the era that we're living through, an era of incredibly rapid globalization, the organizations that survive will be those that have leaders who are open to new perspective and are not afraid of change. Teamwork is the second element that enabled the historic Spartans to make their mark on history. They worked together in a very innovative, tight-knit formation in which each soldier was accountable in helping to protect the man next to him. Now, what I've learned from all my years as chief executive is that culture is the fabric that holds organizations together. And this fabric is woven together, continuously by members of a group and not by deeds of a single individual. The era of the great man, of a greater-than-life individual who working alone cures all the ills of an organization, is now finally dead. And the great man has been replaced by great groups who are able to accomplish much more than talented people working alone. And so your ability to work with others will go a long way in determining your effectiveness, whether in your career or in your involvement in a social cause. Great groups are led by men and women with the extraordinary capacity to bring out the best in others, help them build self-confidence and grow as professionals, and even more importantly, as human beings. Men and women who are capable, above all, of creating teams that succeed through what the American leadership expert Walter Bennis calls creative collaborations. Selflessness is the third and perhaps the most important quality that distinguished Spartans at Thermopylae. Even though they faced certain death, they understood that they were advancing the long-term objective of protecting Greek freedom. And they made their decision based on the needs of their society. They showed in an exemplary way that the future is not just the responsibility of governments, it is the duty of every person at every level. And we have a duty to commit to what we're able to do to dedicate our individual skills and talents in uniting the best of society and to work together to achieve higher objectives. If you see injustice, you have the choice to take action or to just stand by idly. If you choose to use your voice on behalf of those who have no voice, if you choose to identify yourself not only with the powerful but also with the weak, if you keep the capacity to put yourselves in the shoes of those who do not have the same comfort and the same well-being, then it will not just be your family that will be thankful for your existence, but thousands of people whose lives you will have helped to turn into something better. Courage, teamwork, and selflessness are the fundamental elements that create great organizations. But the point now is not only to understand how the Spartans, who were greatly outnumbered, managed to hold back the Persians for so long. The point is to understand why they did that. Why 300 people decided to fight to the death in one of the most famous and heroic gestures of our history. And the answer to this question is the key to understanding the essence of leadership. These men did not set out to be martyrs. They were warriors, of course, and sons of a very strong military culture. But they were also fathers, and they were chosen among those who had at least one son in order to carry on their legacy. The truth is that those 300 men were following their leader in a total and unconditional way. And they were following him because they believed in him. They trusted him. Leonidas was not just a king or a commander-in-chief, he was one of the great leaders in history. And when you're able to build and nurture trust in people, they feel encouraged to develop both their professional qualities as well as their human abilities. They follow you not just because they're obliged to, but because it is simply what they want to do. The first 2013 Dodge Dart rolled off the line earlier this month. And from all reports that I've received, it's been an outstanding production start. So I know you've had some quality issues that have crept up last night, but I've had the reassurance of the whole leadership team that it will be under control in short order. And in fact, the body build is the best that our executive team has ever seen. And by the way, this is a tremendous accomplishment that goes a long way towards vindicating Chrysler's $700 million investment to transform Belvidere into a state-of-the-art facility. And I want to thank you for having embraced the philosophy and the mission that are at the very core of our new company, putting what made this nation great into what they do every day, pride and integrity in what you produce, the culture of doing things and doing them well. And I'm here to convey congratulations to each and every one of you for a job well done. The Dodge Dart is a huge step forward for Chrysler in terms of balancing our portfolio and becoming much more competitive in the heart of the North American car market. As you know, this is also a symbolic car because it is the first one that uses a Fiat-developed architecture on a Chrysler model. As an industry publication recently stated, the Dart is the first child of the marriage between Fiat and Chrysler and contains the DNA of both parents. It takes advantage of Fiat's expertise in small cars and fuel economy, is true to the Dodge heritage of being fun to drive, and is loaded with innovative technology. And judging from what we've seen so far, this first child is a start of a big family that is going to grow, that will explore new experiences, that will become more capable and more aware of its possibilities as its horizon grows wider and brighter. And so the Dart is really a bellwether how well Fiat and Chrysler can make this partnership work. It will say a lot about how much each group can benefit from working together in a way that produces something even better than what each one standing alone could accomplish. And we believe that it's going to set a new benchmark in the compact car segment. Now, judging from the initial reaction of the automotive press, we are not alone in this assessment. Auto Week named it the most significant vehicle at the North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Motor Trend wrote, yes, it hits the bullseye. And USA Today called it a delightful surprise, adding that it is significant in so many ways, including that it happens to be a very, very good compact. And the review ended by saying that among open-minded shoppers, it will be hard to justify a Corolla or a Civic or a Elantra after driving a Dart. And that is just a small sample of the incredibly positive reviews that the Dart has received. Customers ultimately will be the final judges of whether the Dart will be a success. The first vehicles begin leaving this plant next week and will soon be arriving at dealerships, so it won't be long before they begin rendering their opinions. I'm confident of a great market reception for the Dart, and a big part of my confidence comes from knowing the quality of the people who work here at Belvedere. I want to tell you a story that describes the character of the people here at Belvedere. One of the newest employees is DeAndre Ellis, a 21-year-old from Detroit who began working in the paint shop less than 2 weeks ago. I just met DeAndre. He wanted this job so much that he took an overnight bus from Detroit to fill out this paperwork transferring in Chicago to go to Rockford. And then he walked from Rockford to the plant with his backpack, and a pillow. He repeated the journey a few weeks later for orientation, again with a backpack and a pillow and $70 in his pocket, which accounted for most of his worldly possessions. Growing up in Detroit, DeAndre has always dreamed of one day working for a car company. And he began work a few days later. This is a great story as far as it goes, but what happened next is what makes this truly inspirational. You see, DeAndre couldn't have made it without the help of a caring community right here at the plant. Workers here have helped him to find temporary housing. They've given him free rides. They provided him with the essentials, like an alarm clock, along with pots and pans for cooking. Several people chipped in to buy him a bike so he doesn't have to walk the 3 miles from the housing that he currently lives in to get here for the start of his 6 a.m. shift. And some folks here have promised to take him out next week to help him find a more permanent place to live. I'm told DeAndre is doing a great job, and his fellow workers really appreciate his infectious smile. This is truly an example of how the people of Belvedere Assembly make this a very special place.